On this episode of Game of the Month, we'll be discussing Minecraft in 2021. Is it worth playing? We'll let you know, so stay tuned for that. Also, Chevy will be picking the Game of the Month for July, so I have no idea what that is. You don't either. Let's find out. I'm very excited. We're moving into a new month, though, so make sure to download and play A Plague Tale: Innocence, Call of Duty, Black Ops 4, and WWE 2K Battlegrounds. Make sure to download those, play those, come back at the end of the month for Plus Club to let us know what we thought of those games, and we, of course, will let you know what we thought of them. And we also recently did Plus Club for June, talking about Operation Tango, Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown, and Star Wars Squadrons. If you're curious about what we thought of those games, make sure to go check out that episode. Also, thank you everybody who joined me on Reddit to discuss those games for Plus Club. It's always fun talking with you guys, and anyone who subscribed from that, thanks for the subscription, and hopefully you enjoy the content we put out. Make sure to say hi. If you'd like to listen to this podcast, you can listen to it on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, and we have a Patreon if you'd like to support this channel further than liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing if you're brand new. All right, let's talk about Minecraft. What's going on, guys, and welcome to June's episode of Game of the Month, the show where we pick a game random every month, and at the end of the month, we talk about it. My name's Seth, and joining me, of course, to my left, your right, is Chevy, and up in the box is Chris. We all survived the heat wave, the unprecedented heat wave that happened on the West Coast. If you live on the West Coast and you're still around, I'm glad we all made it. How you guys doing?
Better.
Yeah,
that I'm not melting.
It was really hot. That was the I've been to places that are hot many times. Not many times, but plenty of times. And it's always kind of rough, but none of those places have like infrastructure built for that. And in Washington State, we typically don't get like 112 degrees, 108 degrees
Or 100.
And so a lot of people are kind of set up for, that. And so on one of the hottest nights, I remember sitting in my room, and I was like, it is so insanely hot in my room. Like, I could just feel my own sweat in the air. And I was like, it's so hot in my room. I feel like I need to go outside. Like, at least I can breathe out there. It was really crazy. It was the most uncomfortable I've ever been in my own house in 34 years of living. So it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Hopefully we don't get those. Although I saw things saying in 10 days there's a possibility we're going to have another heat wave. Anyway, on that note, how you doing, Chris?
I survived. I'm doing all right. I also found it to be unbearably humid indoors. Like, after spending like 2 years in San Diego, I was kind of acclimated better to like heat levels.
Mm-hmm.
This was a little warm for me, but I felt like going outside felt way more comfortable than staying indoors during the heat wave. It was really weird for me.
Yeah, humidity was pretty low during the heat wave that we had. So outdoors was much better than in the house, where like my own liquid that the heat was robbing me of was just floating in the air. I was like, I can't breathe in here. I need to go outside. Like, it was really fucking crazy. But yeah, it even like affected gaming. I was like, I don't want to turn my PC on.
Yeah.
First off, I don't want to heat my room up, but I also don't want to put my PC through that. Like,
It's funny because I have a glass panel on the side of mine, and I took that off. I took the dust covers off, and then I only played, the game we're going to talk about, because the only thing that didn't raise my GPU temperatures. So I was just like, yep, this is what I'm doing during the heat wave. The TV was off, PlayStation was off, no Final Fantasy, no anything, just Minecraft. So
it was so warm I didn't even want to do anything. I just wanted to not be in that state anymore. So anyway, enough about weather and temperature. I'm sure people from Arizona and shit are like, we deal with that every day.
yeah, no one should live in Arizona though. Too hot.
I was actually reading a thing recently talking about how like it's 124 degrees in like I think it's a Middle Eastern country, and at that temperature it's unlivable. It's the second populated area in the last like 15 years that has like unlivable temperatures now. You have to like be in air conditioning or like hosing yourself down constantly because it's too hot. It's amazing how just in the 20s is unlivable. And here in Washington, where it's lush and green and all that stuff, we got to like 115 in some areas.
Yeah, we got lucky we didn't hit that high where we were at, but
Yeah, where we were. But it seemed like the more south you went, the hotter it got, though.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
enough about that. It was crazy. Hopefully everybody is fine and not flicking cigarette butts out the windows into dry grass. Don't do that.
Please
We don't
don't.
need the fucking fires this summer. We're gonna get them, but
gonna
we don't need them.
happen, yeah.
We don't need that kid with the fireworks in Oregon just lighting the hills on fire.
Fucking gender reveal parties.
Anyway, it's game of the month. We're moving into July, or technically we are in July. It is Chevy's month to pick the game of the month. We did play Minecraft. We're going to talk about that. But before we do that, Chevy gets to pick game of the month. And then after that, the community gets to pick game of the month. And we will let you guys know how that goes as we approach that soon in like a month or two. So, yeah, I'll just give the floor to you. Do this however the hell you want.
Well, I'm gonna start off by saying my original plan was to pick Minecraft, so
I kind of figured.
I got robbed.
You pick it again if you want.
No,
you
I'm
really
not
want
doing
to.
it. I don't think it'd be. I'm gonna be playing it anyways, but I don't think it'd be fun for people to listen to us talk about the same game 2 months in a row.
Review it twice in 2 months. This month it was a little better, a little worse.
So I actually kind of had a hard time just because a lot of stuff that I did think about, one of the 3 of us is done with. So I was just like, well, I want to play this because I haven't beat it yet, but Seth has. Or I want to play this, but like Chris has been streaming a game I need to beat, and he's going to have it beaten before I even beat it, for example. So like, I was like, okay, I can't win with this. So
What game?
he's playing Nier Automata right now. He's on the third playthrough already.
And you're talking about Dragon Quest.
And Dragon Quest 11 for
with
you.
me, yeah, because I beat that shit.
And
And
I
it's
need
so
to
good.
play that too. So I humored Persona 5 because I don't think any of us have beaten that. That's a big game.
I've done the first dungeon in that game.
Yeah, I'm pretty close to the end, but
Oh, man.
it's a big game.
What's the game with you can pick the game with the thick thigh girl?
Oh, Atelier Ryza.
Yeah.
There's some guy on YouTube who called her General, or the Thigh Master General. Yeah,
It's true, dude. People are obsessed with those thighs.
I need to beat that too. That game's actually really fun.
I've barely played it. And I've owned it forever.
Well, the second one's out now too. So
Yeah, and I want to play it. And I have to play the first game.
So that being said, also coming up in July, me and Seth might be kind of busy, so I wanted something kind of chill, and so I went ahead and I picked Earth Defense Force 5
Cool.
because it's multiplayer and I don't have to think.
Not Freedom Brothers, or what the fuck it's called.
No, 5. I bought it and I've barely played it. I want to play more. So
You guys have it on PC? Mm-hmm. Steam sale? Cool.
Yep.
Anyway, any more thoughts about that? Sorry. I was just like, I gotta buy that.
no, I almost picked. I humored Final Fantasy 14, but me and Chris are kind of in a content lull, so there's not a lot for us to do in there, and that's mostly me just going, hurry up and beat the story so you can be caught up, Seth. And I know that you probably won't do it in a month, so
Yeah, not in a month, but I have been, to my own credit, putting some fucking work in on ESO, so I am capable of doing it in an MMO. But that's the one that hooked me, and
Yeah.
I'm almost at like 300 champion points now, or champion level. But 14 is what I assumed. I thought you were going to pick Minecraft or Final Fantasy 14, but Minecraft obviously was played. And I had a bunch of other people going like, is he going to pick 14? I'm like, I don't know what he's going to pick, but there's a good chance. He plays 14 often, and it would give me a reason to play it. So
yeah, I mean, I humored it for a moment, but I realistically, I was like, hey, me and Chris don't really have a lot going on in that right now, so
yeah, if it's kind of a time where, there's not a whole lot going on, you're less, 55% off. Fuck yeah, perfect time. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to do it. No,
yeah.
So
And then I almost picked No Man's Sky as well.
that would have been cool.
So,
I
but
always almost buy that
yeah,
all the time. I'm always like, not today.
that game's a big time sink though, and I'm kind of trying to avoid that. I think so.
That's the rough thing about this month, and we'll talk about that. But we've been very busy this month, so playing any of the games, let alone Minecraft, was hard for me because Minecraft is a game that you can hop in and do a couple things, but to really get into it, they've added so much stuff to it that you got to really spend a lot of time.
Well, and projects take forever, especially if you're playing a survival. So
Yep. All right, so Earth Defense Force 5 is our game of the month. I'm actually very excited for that pick, and it's unexpected, but very exciting because I've played it quite a bit on console, but I didn't play as much as I played 4.1.
Yeah, same.
So
Though me and Chris did play a lot when we picked it up. So originally,
very cool. Chris, any thoughts?
I'm excited. I like that game.
Yeah, cool. And I will definitely pick it up on PC because I think it'll be fun to play with you guys. So, all right. So we got some more business to do before we talk about Minecraft. I promise we're going to talk about it. I'm not just going to talk about temperature, me sweating all over the place, and stuff like that. Chris is not here for Plus Club because life happens. And so I would love to know his opinions on the games he did play. Now, you didn't play Operation Tango, so we're not going to expect anything from you on that. Outside of, did you want to play it?
Kind of 50-50 on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of even on Reddit, some people were just kind of like, I wasn't really interested in it. Or they're like, well, it looked kind of cool, but I don't have a PS5, so I couldn't play it. Or a lot of people were like, I didn't have anyone to play it with. And I'm like, that sucks. But it's kind of the risk of a hard co-op game. But I love them when you can play them. So you played Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown and Star Wars Squadrons. Start wherever you want and listen to your impressions and your grades.
We'll start from the bottom and work our way up. So, Star Wars Squadrons. I played the storyline. I didn't even bother playing online because I'm not really into fighter pilot games. Dogfighters, not my thing. Story mode was okay. Nothing crazy, really. I did like that you could control, how your ship was distributing power between like shields or a balanced or speed or damage. But beyond that, it didn't really feel kind of unique or special in the world of like fighter pilot games that I've played in the past. My dad used to play them a lot, so I've had plenty of experience playing fighter pilot games. It just felt kind of blasé as like a little tack on for the Star Wars universe. Graphically, it's fine. It looks well, but I just didn't feel compelled to keep playing it. I'm gonna give it a C+. Perfectly playable, but and graphically it looks nice, but it just kind of didn't grasp me at all. Yeah. Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown was a game that I was kind of on the fence about. I do like fighter games, but I've never really played Virtua Fighter before. So I did a little research about it and figured out that apparently all of the fighting characters in this game are legitimate real-world fighting styles. They're all mocapped from real people, and it's a very, very, very technical fighting game. To the point where I kind of got overwhelmed playing it, trying to figure out and memorize string commands or, the rock, paper, scissors style fighting-esque of the game. Graphically, it's fun to look at, and it's really fun to watch other people play, and your characters can look crazy as fuck after a while once you get enough customizations. But it's a little too intense as far as the technicality that is required to play that game at a competent level for me. I never played online because I was just too intimidated at the fact this game has been out for so long, and watching other people who are been playing it since release are just ridiculous at the combos that they can do and how well they can read other players.
A week after a fighting game coming out, I mean, good luck online because people have got those combos down. Like, there's some fucking nutcases when it comes to that.
I watched some day one Strive streams and people were figuring out some crazy stuff pretty quick. So,
yeah, and this game has been out for years now, so it's just online. Even though they do a ranking system, I don't want to go in there and just get decimated over and over again. There's no real story to speak of. It's a fighting game. You play online and you play out against just kind of like a set amount of characters on offline. But it was entertaining until I got intimidated. So I'm going to give this one a B because it was still fun, although very, very technically difficult, which is really nice to see in a fighting video game instead of just having to mash buttons. So yeah, just a solid B for that.
Fair. I mean, pretty much. And I obviously, if you haven't seen Plus Club, go check out that episode for more in-depth reviews. But pretty much in line with what we said about Squadrons. I feel like a lot of people kind of said exactly what you said on Reddit as well. Everybody was like, it's fine, but it's kind of bare bones. Doesn't really do much. Kind of feels like a one-off. I forgot who. Oh, I think there's rumors that the people who made that are making the new Dead Space. So that game just has no support coming to it. It's just like it exists as it is. And so, yeah, I pretty much everything you said in your grade, I think I graded the exact same thing, but I don't remember 100% now. I think it's interesting what you said about Virtua Fighter 5, though, just because I think you graded higher than any of us.
Oh, yeah.
Because mostly for me, it just feels very classic to me. It feels very old school. I had a guy on Reddit, only one guy, get upset with me because I said that, even though I get what you're saying when you're saying technical, because the technicalities of the rock, paper, scissors system, stuff like that, is there. The button input, there's like a punch, a kick, and like a couple other buttons. And so that simplicity of button pushing is not for me. I'll put it that way. I like something like Tekken or Soul Calibur or something with a lot of different moves to do and stuff. And this guy got really upset about my wording. And he's like, the skill ceiling or the skill cap of that game is very high. And I'm like, something can be difficult, super intricate, or simple, and the ceiling on that can be high as well. Like, that's not an argument. And I was like, so I agree with you? Like, I don't know. And then I got a dislike on the video. I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, whatever. But he was pretty upset that I was not talking up Virtua Fighter 5, even though everybody in there was saying that Virtua Fighter 3 and 4 were the good ones and 5 wasn't good. So even like Virtua Fighter fans were like, 5's whatever. So that was really interesting. But it's interesting to hear your take on that because it's pretty different than me and Chevy. So even though we had like nothing negative to say about it, really.
No, so. To just kind of a TLDR it, it kind of falls in the same place for me as like Smash Brothers does. It's not that I think they're bad. I just don't like the lack of inputs. There's like 2 buttons.
Yeah, and Virtua Fighter for me just feels like I'm playing like Street Fighter 2 on Sega Genesis. It feels like fun to revisit, but so old school that I'm like, the genre's evolved so much that like I'd rather play these ones. So,
well, and if every fighting game was the same, we wouldn't have multiples either. So
yeah,
there's preferences. It's okay
for sure. Yeah, I don't like Street Fighter. I had to swallow that pill. Yeah. So anything else you want to add to your impressions or grades?
The only thing I found endearing about Star Wars Squadrons was that, and this is just a personal thing, but you could make your characters for each pilot, for each, side, the Imperials or the Rebels, and that they could be whatever gender, voice, body type combination you wanted to make. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I've seen that more and more in games, which, I mean, doesn't hurt anybody. So yeah, it's definitely welcome to just make your character however the hell you want to make them.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, you're just going, here's all the stuff we made for character creator. Do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. I mean, even in Japanese games for the longest time, they'll just give you access to male and female haircuts.
Yeah.
And you just fucking do whatever the hell you want. And, like, some people might have a haircut as a joke, and some people might have it because they like that haircut. I've even had characters where I was like, if I use this one that's not very traditional but add these items to it, kind of makes it look cool. So I like the creative ability to be able to do whatever. So more options is better and allows people to realize the character they want to make and play as long as it's not. My only problem with character creators it comes in when like the game's trying to be serious but allows you to have like gigantic feet or a huge head, because then like there's just very small people running around with like huge Bigfoot feet and shit, and I'm just like, this is taking me out of the game, man. More than that, dude. It's a hybrid. It's something else. Like, and like if that's what you want, I get it, but you're kind of ruining the immersion of this fantasy world for me. But it's a very rare thing, and especially in modern games, people have kind of toned that down a bit in a lot of free to play MMOs. So, but yeah, I actually thought about that when I was playing. That you might appreciate that. So.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Okay, so we should probably talk about Minecraft. That's what we're here for. Everybody's like, no, don't talk about
20
Minecraft.
minutes later.
Yeah. So, in case you don't know what Minecraft is, it is a block cube-based survival game. Also has a creative mode where you play as a character in a procedurally generated world. You walk in a direction, it generates that world in front of you, where you break blocks, craft items from the resources you get from those blocks. It has a crafting system that's pretty standard. I mean, it's Minecraft, so like it's one of the most famous games ever.
Yeah.
Like ever made. And a lot of the survival games, whether you prefer them over Minecraft, have probably learned something from Minecraft. So the crafting system is pretty standard at this point. You make designs essentially with the resources, and they give you different options of different things to craft that can be used to craft other objects or to make the object you're looking at. There are NPCs that roam around, vendors. There is an end game, I hear. There is another dimension you can go to, and yeah, a lot of interesting things. A lot of enemy types I learned, and I'll talk about. And a lot of interesting systems. We all played it, and I'm curious about Chevy's impressions of this game because he's been playing it a lot. So is Chris, but I live with Chevy, and so I see that when he's not playing 14, he's playing Minecraft a lot of times. So I'd like to know his impressions of Minecraft in June. I keep forgetting it's June. July. It's July technically.
It is currently July. Yeah.
It's July now, but it was June. I swear it was just June.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that kind of gives a huge hint anyways that I've been playing it anyways, even before this month. So
spoiler alert. Unless you've been watching the show.
I pay for a server so that anyone that I am playing with or decides they want to play don't have to rely on my computer being on to play. That's how we used to do it. And I just, I have an income and been playing it enough to justify the costs at this point, so it just makes more sense.
It's kind of the way to go. It seems like it's been working. I mean, we have a long history of hosting servers, and there's a lot of ups and downs, speed bumps, updates, technical problems, people who can't join servers, a lot of problems that can come into having your own server. I mean, I had one for Conan Exiles, and I had people for a while going like, "Hey, where's that? I'm like, "Oh, yeah, my computer's off." Oh, like,
yep.
So it's kind of nice to, I guess, pay for it.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you can justify the price, obviously.
I mean, people pay for Netflix
for sure. Well, and I didn't mean like justify a monthly payment as much as like don't get ripped off.
Yeah, gotcha.
Unfortunately, Minecraft does have their own built-in server hosting options now too. So if you're worried about third party, you can do it first party. Though I have heard that it's called Realms, I believe, is okay, but it is. I think it's only like $8 a month though, so very reasonable. So yeah, that being said, I have not played this game in years and years and years, and I think a lot of people are kind of in the same boat right now because I'm seeing a lot more content on it just on YouTube a lot lately. But I think the interest has come up again. I think part of that also has to do with the fact that both last year and this year they've done major updates to the game to completely change it. So it's been on our Game of the Month list anyways, and then all this stuff's kept getting added to it, and I kept seeing people talk about it. I was like, I'm going to dive in. So
what's kind of amazing about the waves of interest in Minecraft is like when it first came out, it was fucking huge, and it wasn't like a kid's game then. And now it's again not a kid's game.
Yeah.
But for a while there, it was known as a kid's game. But when it first came out, everyone I knew and their brother fucking wanted to play that game.
Yeah.
And you could only buy it through Mojang and play it through the launch or whatever. And people loved it, and it was super popular and stuff. And then, like, that kind of faded, and everyone who played it didn't really play anymore. And then I started seeing kids walk into school with, like, creeper backpacks and stuff, and I go into stores, and there's just Minecraft stuff everywhere. I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like, and I was hearing all these stories of, like, classrooms using Minecraft to teach kids and stuff like that.
There's an educational mode you can turn on in Minecraft.
Sure. Yeah. And this is all before, like, this is around the time Microsoft bought it. And I was, like, looking at it, I'm like, that's kind of crazy that, like, it's been adopted as like a kids game. And then I started seeing people who were like my age going like, oh, that's a fucking kids game, dude. Like that game sucks. I'm like, that game was dope. What are you talking about? And spoiler, I guess. And then there's been multiple ways every time a huge update happens, but recently it seems like a lot of people are on the same page of like playing it again. Mm-hmm. It's crazy that game's been out for that long to see that many waves of interest. Kind of like Pokemon.
Yeah, it's a good example actually. So being one of the people who it caught their attention again, I went ahead and did that, and it conveniently popped up for Game of the Month. So during this month, I didn't do any major milestones. We had done a lot of that last month. Me and Chris are both, and I'm not going to talk too much for him, but we've beaten the Ender Dragon. We've been to the end. We've gotten our Elytras, shulker boxes, stuff like that. So we have all the stuff that you have to beat the game for. So right now it's just mostly a lot of like building. I wanted to try to this last month do. I have still yet to do. I can't remember what they're called, but they're like the underwater temples with the guardians. I still have never cleared one of those out yet, and so that was something I didn't want to do by myself though, and I just couldn't seem to match up with Chris at any point really during this month. And then, like you said, you were kind of busy and didn't really get a chance to do it either.
So. Like the E3 week, I didn't play anything, and then we had a heat wave, and
so it was kind of tricky in that regard. So I just spent most of my time just kind of building onto. It's not really my house; it's more of like my workshop. But and I think some of that footage will probably play, so you guys will see that a little bit. But
yeah, to clarify, the stuff you're seeing in the beginning of the footage you're seeing is me literally starting my gameplay. So I'm around just hitting trees and stuff, like nothing too exciting. I actually sped it up. It's like 40 minutes of footage. I sped up to like 10 minutes. So, and then the last part of the footage is your high end. I'm fucking Mr. Awesome.
Not that rich yet, but I'm getting pretty close. Yeah, so I guess my first impression coming back into the game was it felt really nostalgic at first. And a lot of it came back to me really fast, which was really neat.
Yeah, I had a similar experience.
The one thing that kind of threw me off was when I started to craft stuff and I was like, oh, there's a recipe book attached to your character sheet now. That's how long it's been since I played. So it was really interesting knowing that I didn't have to like memorize everything or have a wiki open at all times to know the recipes. So that was really nice, actually. And then we just kind of, I need to stop saying we, because me and Chris playing at the same time.
Call yourself we. Multiple Chevys.
Kind of figuring out where to build and stuff like that. And we have slowly built a bunch of infrastructure and stuff like that. And now in a very small space is very much, I guess best word for is conquered, at this point. So, been having a lot of fun with it. I learned a lot about, basically getting rid of the need to farm certain resources by building certain types of farms and automations and stuff like that, which has allowed me to focus more on still doing the creative stuff. But it's nice because the danger still exists. To give a quick story real quick, we were doing E3 stuff, and I was trying to AFK while my wolf farms were going. And at this time, unfortunately, currently again, I was full netherite, which is the top rank, top armor in the game. Full enchanted, blah 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 blah. Had a bunch of fancy. Had a bunch of shulker boxes that I was filling up because I was getting ready. I'm kind of getting to the point where I want to start delving into doing some map art, which takes a ton of resources. And while we were recording, apparently a creeper ended up in my house, blew up, and I don't know if my stuff blew up, but I was gone long enough that it despawned at least. So
he was just on Twitch. He's like, "Oh, Tasty Loot Gaming's streaming. Wait, Tasty Loot Gaming is streaming right now. I'm gonna go creep into Chevy's house."
Yep. So I showed up, hole in my house, and all my stuff was gone. So I had to. So in the next few days, farming everything back up.
Sounds horrible.
Fortunately, the infrastructure part was big on that because having an EXP farm really makes that faster. So
back in the basic days, it was always devastating to see somebody with like diamond gear fall into lava and just go.
I've watched someone else who was playing on our server while we were building a bridge in the Nether just forget to hold shift and just fell straight in lava. I was like, ugh, why?
I was disgusted with them. Ugh.
Like Peasant. It was such a simple process, and he was just like, bloop. I was like, what? So
those things happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know really what else to say about it because like everyone knows what Minecraft is, so like I can't really going on that too much. And my impression about it has just been I've been playing it nonstop. So like, it's been nice to do, especially because like, you know, get home from work sometimes and I don't want to think, and sometimes just grinding something out or just digging a hole in the ground, you know, while I watch YouTube is just kind of nice. So it's been good.
Yeah, back when I used to play often, that was like kind of the whole thing is like I had like some kind of creative project that was huge I'd work on. So whenever I do anything creatively, time just melts. But also, it's a great time to listen to music, listen to podcasts. I have this is the crazy thing about Minecraft and its legacy for me, is I have whole ass albums that I love, that when I listen to them, I visualize Minecraft, because I was listening to them a lot when I was playing Minecraft at different eras. So like I'll listen to like certain albums and I'm just like, this is Minecraft. So it is a good game to kind of, you know, you can kind of multitask, you can chill. The game's kind of whatever experience you're trying to get out of it.
Yeah, one, and more recently too, I liked it a lot then too. One of my favorite things about, I think, Minecraft is because it can be a single player experience, but it can also just be like a really good social game too, to like hang out. And I've really enjoyed it for those qualities.
I have fond memories back in the day of like having like, I don't know, like 10 people on a server though, but everybody had their own little projects going on. It was like a chat room almost, except for everybody's just working towards these little things.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and you know, there's a couple people I've managed to get on the server. I got one I'm trying to get on the server right now, and one
yeah, I should probably hop on there.
that I wanted to get on the server this month, but obviously like was brought up earlier, busy.
Yeah. Although if I do hop on the server and start playing, I'll just stream so people.
That's a perfect stream game,
Get
anyways.
to
Other than
catch
the meme
up.
kids that come in and say Fortnite's better, so
What?
it's a thing. You play Minecraft, people show up and they're like, Fortnite's better, and they run off.
No, it's not. That's not factually correct.
They're not even the same type of game,
I know.
so it blows me away.
They were kind of at one point, but not really.
Yeah, no,
That's like the Xbox better people or the PlayStation better people.
pretty much.
I'll go to anything on Twitter that has to do with games, has nothing to do with that war, and somebody's in there going like, yeah, that's why Xbox is better. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, you're not accomplishing anything. So
Yeah.
yeah,
A lot of times you just see people go like, nice troll though. And that's it. So it doesn't like go anywhere anymore. You just like rile people up. I'm like, what are you doing? This person is obviously just like, this has nothing to do with fucking Xbox. But
Yeah.
people love that shit.
the one last thing I'll say is the one thing I have enjoyed about this time about playing Minecraft is having a better understanding of the game, and I actually feel a pretty big sense of accomplishment on the stuff we've made, even if they're not grand in scale. There's a lot of stuff that has just been, to use the word, conquered again, so they're not things I have to worry about anymore. Is nice, because like, you know, I don't have to go mining for iron anymore. I don't have to like go find random sheep for their wool and stuff. Like that's all just, everything I need is in one spot. So
Yeah, I always appreciate Minecraft-esque games, or more specifically like just in general survival games where you can do that, because some of them are designed, and I get why, but some of them are designed to like always have something to throw like into your gears to ruin things, and like a game like Don't Starve or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
it's just designed for you to fucking. It's like a roguelike. I'm sure there's ways to like exploit it and survive forever, but it's not designed really for that. Whereas like a game like Minecraft, you can get to a point of sustainability, which always feels great. It's when you venture out that it gets a little like, you know, weird. And I always like games like that because I feel like I've accomplished something. It's not just all going to collapse at some point. So
well, and the bigger the infrastructure gets, like, you know, on your single player or your server or whatever too, like you have visual proof of like taking the survival element and just saying, look, I accomplished all this in a game that's, you know, trying to kill me all the time. So
yeah, for sure. Anything else?
no.
Ship over to Chris. Impressions.
So Minecraft for me is a game of 1,000 partially finished projects. Chevy definitely has the more thought out of like, this is where I need this type of farm. I've got this type of building structure for this, and I just kind of go, I want to build this, and just kind of traipse about it for a while until I get really annoyed if I didn't gather enough materials to build it and move on to another project. And that's very apparent in the structure that I have as my original base. It's this very like up on a cliffside. I built it there so I didn't have to worry about creepers and stuff getting into my house. So I had this like very high up vertical building. And it just kind of started with a neutral base, and then eventually it evolved into like this weird train station-esque kind of base structure. And again, it's partially unfinished. There's multiple bedrooms in the train station, so if anybody came to visit, they had somewhere to rest. There's like it's just a bunch of stuff of visually appealing, non-functioning structures. That's kind of what I do in these games. And even now, I've with all the end game stuff, I took my Elytra and I flew off in a random distance for I don't know how long to begin another massive mountain of a project that I'll probably never finish.
Yeah, I feel that.
Though we conveniently found an amethyst when we got there, which is a new item. So
we did find a cool amethyst geode, which is a really neat structure to explore. Like you said, it's a new item or a new, I guess, structure, natural occurring.
It's a biome
thing.
Yeah,
biome. That's
it's
it.
A biome
Yeah,
called
it's really
amethyst.
Well, it's a
Yeah.
You know how like iron can form underground in random spots. So it's the same idea, except for it's literally a geode, and it'll be hollow, and it's an amethyst on the inside, and then the outside's like calcite or something like that.
Yeah.
So you get multiple materials that way, but there are these little blocks that are, I think they're called budding amethysts, but they have X's on them. If you don't break them, they'll grow more amethysts.
Interesting.
So you break all the non-X ones, you leave the X ones, and you kind of just mark that on your map, and then you can come back and wait for them to grow and get more amethysts.
What do you do with it?
Right now, you make building blocks that are sparkly and make a jingle sound essentially when you walk on them, or
They dingle when you walk across it. It's really pretty.
or you can make a telescope, which I thought was a little weird at first. But then I realized that wasn't actually built in the game, and that was Optifine, which is a add-on that I was using that allowed me to do that before. So it's officially in the game to be able to zoom in on things now.
What is Optifine? It sounds very familiar.
You use it. It's a performance enhancer, essentially, and it gives you the ability to zoom in on things. And then it also allows you to put other mods on.
I feel like that existed back in the day, too, because I remember that name.
It's what my shader needs Optifine to function.
Gotcha.
It doesn't work right now because of the version update, but
that game is not very well optimized.
that's what Optifine's for.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, I'll talk about that. But
Yeah. The only thing I have the issue with this game is that if you don't have a project in mind, I kind of get lost as to what to do. I just kind of wander about aimlessly and do nothing. I definitely play this game when I have the drive to build something and the creative idea of what I want to do. Otherwise, I'm just kind of tag along with whatever Chevy wants to do. I often will go around his factory, an animal slaughterhouse, and find caves that are filled with enemies just to kind of wipe them out from the area. So I don't have to worry about them too much.
So you're the pest control guy.
Generally.
Though now I have the better armor, but
This is true. This is true. I just go in. I don't care. Just let me in. I'm gonna get him. That being said, there is a creative mode that gives you access to all the blocks that are in the game, as well as some blocks that are not part of like the survival servers, so you can access everything to it. And I use that a lot when I'm trying to figure out what creative endeavors I want to go with. I have like my own server, or not server. I have my own realm or whatever, my own game where I go through and design things based off of like real world structures and stuff like that, which can be really difficult because it is, block based. So they take up an exact amount of space in the game, which doesn't always line up very well with real world structures. But it's still fun. The challenge is trying to figure out how to make them work with what blocks you have by lining them up in certain ways and making them connect to each other in certain ways. It's really challenging but fun at the same time to do. So I spend a lot of my time doing that, just designing buildings for the sake of them looking neat.
Yeah, back when I used to play Minecraft regularly, I had a server that would go on to do the survival stuff, and then I did have a creative seed that I was playing on as well, just to build. Because I liked the building, especially back then. There wasn't a lot of competition that was even remotely close to as good as Minecraft. And so it was a great way to, build your heart's content and, fucking stretch out that creative muscle a bit. So yeah, I get that because I used to do both. So because the survival aspect is really fun too, and in that everything you build, you feel like you earned, which is nice. Mm-hmm. But then sometimes I just want to go fucking insane and build something right now. And it is kind of a cool, like I never thought about it that way, but there's a lot of techniques I did learn that translated over to survival from just fucking around with the unlimited blocks in creative.
So. I think it's pretty common for people though, because like I also have a creative one that I go in to plan out something first and go, okay, these are the materials I need, and then I go.
It's just interesting because when I was doing that, I wasn't thinking I was doing that. That wasn't the intention. I was just building, and then I would. Yeah, I was building like these houses, and nowadays it probably is not even impressive at all. But like they're like super intricate to what you would typically expect from just block house.
Yeah.
Like it had like a little railing with like plants and stuff up on the ceiling that had like these intricate windows and stuff like that. And that was all stuff that I kind of learned from just fucking around with the unlimited blocks, unlimited resources in creative. So
yeah, I do a lot of redstone mechanics in creative too, because it's not an easy. Once you find it, it's in abundance, but to get to it can be a little difficult. And it's really technical, trying to figure out like what you can and can't do with redstone to make things function in certain ways. It's a lot of fun with that too.
Yeah, I did some really crazy stuff with redstone. Like back in the day, when I played it mostly, I like looked up all these videos to learn about stuff like that, and eventually I started playing around with it. And then I was like creating these rooms that like when you walk towards them, they would transform and open up, and then you'd walk even further, and the room behind you would shut, and the next room would like transform like something out of control, maybe. Like it was really kind of crazy looking. But the amount of work and like engineering, like legit engineering, I was like in the walls, like pathing out all this stuff, and then you'd go into the room, and it's funny because anybody entering that room would just see what I showed them, but then like outside of that room, there's just all this circuitry everywhere that like.
Oh yeah. Before we did this episode, I finally did some redstone structures. So, like my neon sign above my house now, and that's just a mess inside the building, but it's all hidden.
Yeah, it's crazy because I'd go behind the wall, and there's like all this weird pathing I had done, and all these switches and stuff, and then you go in the room, and it's like, oh, this looks cool. Don't look behind the wall though. Yeah, shit's fucking insane looking.
Yeah. I've got a redstone door hidden. It's like a wall behind a waterfall that opens up, and the waterfall stops pouring in my train station. And just to get the redstone mechanics to work properly, the walls behind it are so dug out and so empty. And it goes so high up just to accommodate them not crossing over each other. It's ridiculous.
There's something you're showing me. It's like a cube that's a storage unit kind of thing. You put stuff in it.
Shulker boxes.
Shulker boxes, yeah. It'd be cool if you could like make a certain squared parameter area of circuitry and put it in one of those boxes, and it would still work as if it was there, and you could connect those boxes to each other. That'd be kind of cool because you still have to do the redstone stuff, but then almost save.
Well, I think redstone's going to change at the end of the year anyways, because wireless redstone stuff's going to start happening.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that'll be really cool to see what people come up with.
Just something to kind of advance it, so you can get crazier things, but still not take away from having to figure it out, because I think that was fun. It's just it could take up a lot of room, and which is always a fun part of the creative aspect of figuring out how to make that work. But for somebody who does it all the time and know how it works, it'd be cool if there's like a more streamlined way to do it.
This guy I watch on YouTube, that's kind of his shtick is redstone, and he'll show like early builds of his stuff, and he's like, "Look how small I've made the redstone to get the same result now." So
Yeah. Yeah, I remember doing stuff like that too, trying to minimize it to see if I get the same result. So that's interesting. It makes sense.
well, even like the way you power redstone, you can also do a lot of that by creating infinite power loops. So like, yeah, you turn it on, but then it goes in a circle, so it doesn't shut off. But back, I think when you were doing redstone, I don't think they had comparators and repeaters. So they have these items now that literally can change like the timing of the redstone pulses and stuff like that. So
No, you had to do that on your own
Yeah.
by elongating the redstone and making it go out of its way to make it sync up at different times.
yeah, they have these little. They're called. I think they're called repeaters. You put them down, and they have 4 settings or 3 settings. 4 settings. Can't remember. They
think
default
3.
3. Yeah, they default at 1, and then it basically is like a 1 second pause, and then you can click on it. It goes to 2, 3, 4, or whatever, and it just takes 1 block space to do that. So
I don't remember if that was a thing or not.
they're pretty game changing. So
Yeah. Interesting.
yeah. I said a lot of my farms, I guess, technically are redstone devices, but they're super simple redstone.
Gotcha. Anything else?
Yeah, it gets complex with redstone, which is a fun element to it.
Yeah. All right, I'll jump into my impressions. I have a lot less to say about it just because I put less time into it. I already said before I didn't get to put as much time into this as I would have liked to. I only played it for like 6 to 8 hours, maybe tops. Not a whole lot, but in that small amount of time, I did notice a lot of things already that I was not used to. Just so you know, last time I played Minecraft was before the last, not the recent, but the last major block update. That had like 76 blocks.
So before the Nether update.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a long time ago that I played this. Or it wasn't before that. It was when that update came out. So, because like, oh, that's cool. It's a lot of blocks. But I didn't even explore that much. So, it's been a while since I played this game. And going into it, it looks like Minecraft still. It's interesting. Even the login, my old login, it's pretty much the same feeling outside of some of the Microsoft stuff, which I think is kind of interesting.
It's going to change some more because they're merging accounts right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. And yeah, I started out. I was like, oh shit, I forgot how to play this. And as I was hitting things, I'm like, no, I didn't. And like I started like making stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot all these crafting recipes. I'm sure there's like so many more now, but you know, all the basic ones of all the basic things that you could build, regardless of what resource you're using. I remembered a lot of them, honestly, which is kind of crazy. But the first thing I noticed worth mentioning is I have a pretty decent computer. It plays most things, the highest graphics, unless things aren't optimized. This game doesn't run awesome for me. And I adjusted the graphics. I went from the highest settings to mid settings, kept a lot of things on high, moved like, you know, how many blocks it's rendering in front of me down a little bit. And there's a problem back in the day that it still kind of has, and I think it's just part of the engine of the game, is when you look in a direction when it's loading, whatever direction you look, it starts loading the blocks. And then you turn over here and it starts loading those blocks. And if you walk like 10 feet this way, and then you turn, it's going to start loading blocks. It's always in a constant state of loading things. And it definitely still felt like that, even this far into the future, where my computer now is insanely more powerful than the computer I was using back then. So that was kind of interesting to notice. But other than that, you know, when it was running smooth, it looks a little cleaner than it used to.
They've done some texture updates.
Yeah, well, even in the graphic options, there's more options now, which is kind of cool to see. I like how my impressions is just like a time capsule of what I remember, and it's like I'm a time traveler. But yeah, that was actually really surprising to see that the optimization wasn't, to be honest, fucking amazing. I feel like Microsoft's might of buying things up could, you know, buy some optimization.
I could give like some insight to some of that. So during chunk generation, like the first time you generate a chunk, it is slow because it's creating it.
I thought when you said chunk generation, that was like a generation of time.
It says an area in
Of like Minecraft, like during chunk generation, back when chunk was around.
But once it's loaded once, it'll still have to like you have like your draw distance essentially, or
Okay.
the amount of chunks you can have on screen. And if you go too far away and come back, it still has to pop that in, but because it's not creating it, it will load faster the second time. The other thing is, if you were playing full screen on an ultra wide, which I assume you probably were, it does not like ultra wide. It runs awful. I play in window in normal resolution.
That's one of the things that sucks about having ultra wide. As much as I love it for I like it for gaming as well, of course, but for like editing, it's like I can't go back. For editing anything, pictures, music, whatever. But for games, it kind of sucks because like playing like, you know, typical ratio, every game runs amazing and looks amazing and stuff like that. And I get away with a lot with my ultra wide, but some games, maybe they're too demanding for that ratio, but or resolution, but some games just don't seem to like ultra wide either still. So because I played a couple, even ESO doesn't really seem to like ultra wide that much compared to if a lot of times I'm watching a podcast, so I have it kind of shrunk down or reading stuff about stuff in ESO, but so I don't play it at full screen. But that just talking about Minecraft and being ultra wide, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I play in a window, so
yeah, I ended up doing that and it ran fine.
Yep.
I just didn't like the idea that I was doing that.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. I noticed almost instantly when I even like in the window expanding it to fit the window, and instantly I dropped frames. I was like, weird.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So that was kind of disappointing, but obviously there's reasons for it, and there's optimizer stuff out there, so that's cool to know. I didn't play it enough to get that invested to look for that stuff. I do know there's plenty of stuff to download for Minecraft. There was back in the day, so there's got to be
Yeah, I played some modded servers this month too.
so much more now. Yeah, I also noticed there's new enemies, which was a scary surprise. I was expecting creepers, I was expecting zombies and stuff like that, but there's like some miniature zombie guy running after me, some fucking runner, some dude who's just on fire running at me, and as soon as they showed up, some skeleton archers just shooting at me, which have been around forever, but like
Except for they're way accurate now.
yeah, it was just like very aggressive. I was like, holy shit, and it was a lot normal. I've played Minecraft normal a million times. And I was like, this is a little intense. So I started running and hitting them and shit, and they ended up killing me. Luckily, it's pretty close to my spawn. So
Fun little bit of information for you too. The older your world is, and the more stuff you've built, they will start spawning with armor and weapons too. So
yeah, so there's a couple games that kind of do stuff like that, like Valheim and stuff. Obviously, it's a newer game, but yeah, to kind of increase that challenge. Although I did notice you can change the difficulty, and you can change at any time, which I thought was interesting.
Single player, yeah.
You can also lock that as well, which I think is kind of cool. I didn't touch it. I just kept playing normal because my pride was like, don't play on easy.
also on hard, zombies can break down doors.
That's fucking scary.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that at all. I remember back in the day, though, they would like in the middle of the night have like a little shack or whatever, just trying to survive the night, and I hear, ooh.
Dude, that still happens.
And I look out the window of the door, and there's just eyes like, just hitting the door. I'm like, this is fucking scary.
Yeah.
So yeah, more enemy types. I had no reference for that really. So I was like, oh shit. And I adapted as you do. Also hanging out on a hill, I went and got some drink or something like that and came back and I heard some guy making some weird noise. And I looked down and there's like some kind of like fucking Sherpa or something. Some dude just hanging out with some goats or something.
Oh, it was llamas. The llama trader. Yeah.
And he just hang out next to me.
trader.
I'm like, who the fuck is this? Yeah. And he was just making that noise over and over again. And I was like, where is that? I looked down. He's just down below me. I checked him out and he
Trying to get some emeralds from you.
he wanted emeralds that I just had spawned into the world as a fresh baby with no emeralds. So
Should take his llamas.
should have. I was still recovering from the fucking enemies that had attacked me the night before. When I was like, I'm gonna build a thing here, and then those guys showed up. I'm like, that's not here, and I just ran. And yeah, I did not get to any of the crazy stuff you've told me about because I didn't play it enough. I would like to check that stuff out. Built some stuff, hollowed out a mountain, mostly to protect myself. That's typically not one of my go-to moves, is to build in mountains. I know a lot of people do it just because it makes sense. You have walls already built, so why wouldn't you? But I always like to build like some kind of walled-in castle type place, something like that. Did not get that far either. So Is there anything new that when I played last, there was villages, so that wasn't surprising when I ran into one of those. In fact, after the when I got attacked by the group of people, I literally looked down this cliffside, and out in the distance there was a little village. I'm like, I'm just gonna go live there.
They spawn a lot of them. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was surprised to see one that quickly. So I ran over there. It was fully populated. There's animals everywhere, stuff like that. I'm like, I was like, I'm gonna live. Yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm gonna live here until I can get my bearings. There's some dude who was sleeping in a bed. I'd wake him up in the middle of the night and be like, get out of here. And he'd get up and I'd take a nap in his bed.
Yep.
Every time, though, it was creepy. Every time I'd get him up, he'd fly through the wall and I'd lay down. And as soon as I laid down, he'd come walking in the door looking right at me. And I'd just like go to sleep. And I'm like, what is he going to do?
He wants his bed back.
If I was him, I'd kill me. But because if you fucking wake me up, take my bed, and I walk back in the house and you're asleep, I want to crack you in the head with a brick, but that's what he should have done to me. I would have been like, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But he was pretty cool about it. I just assume in the middle of the night he's just watching me the whole time, just going like, that motherfucker.
Probably.
Yeah, but overall, this game was kind of hard for me to start playing because I wasn't in the mindset to be playing a game like Minecraft. I just had played Valheim 2 months ago a lot, and so the idea of playing another like survival game, especially when I'm in this like MMO mode right now, and I'm slowly going in preparation for Battlefield 2042. I'm starting to play FPSs again. I wasn't in the mindset for it, but when I started playing it, I was like, oh yeah, this game's fun. Oh yeah, this game has got a charm to it. So my plan is I need to at least log into your server so I can just do that. It saves that, right? That information still? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And just start doing something there. Although, haven't you guys done everything? Most of the stuff?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's all gone.
Okay. I'll say it wouldn't make sense for me to join a server if like there's like end game content that's been conquered already.
The only thing I'd have to do, which the game allows you to do, is I have to do it eventually for Chris anyways, because the person gets the killing hit gets the achievement, but is respawn the dragon, and there's a way to do that. So.
Okay.
So if you're like, hey, I want to beat the game, I just go make the 4 items needed. You place him down, and he respawns.
Gotcha.
So.
Yeah. So need to hop in there.
Yep. Maybe give you a quick tour, and then
off you get. Well, I don't know how quickly I'm going to run off, considering there's those fucking enemy types that just murdered me real quick. Like, welcome to Minecraft.
Did you run into any witches?
No.
They throw poison at you. They're jerks.
I didn't know there's witches, so I'm glad I didn't run into that. I would have fucking screamed, hit it in the head with a brick.
Pillagers. They're gray versions of the villagers, and one has a flag on their back, and they all have crossbows. And they just instantly want to kill you. And if you kill the one with the flag, you get a debuff that if you take that debuff to a town, they raid that town.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so you have to drink
They
milk.
raid on like
debuff.
monster back. Like they have this big like cow demon
like a big
beast that they ride in on.
Yeah.
What do you do with the guy with the flag?
If you kill him, but then you need to drink some milk before you get too close to a village.
Why'd they decide milk?
Milk gets rid of all debuffs.
How do you say milk?
Milk?
Yes, they said milk. Some people say milk.
I might do
Does the
both.
body
I don't
good?
know.
Milk.
I don't pay too much
I say
attention.
milk.
So.
Well, you said milk, and I was like, I've heard people go like, "How do you say milk? How do you say milk?" And I was just interested. That just kind of blew my mind.
I mean, I might do both. I know I've done melee and melee, so like
that one's. I do that on purpose just to make sure everyone's happy. Because fucking people get pissed.
yeah, I don't care.
Or melee.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're talking Minecraft.
Yeah, I mean some other things. Like,
Minelay.
What's the night one that comes? The flying night thing. What's it called?
Well, we haven't seen those either, but phantoms. If you stay
Oh,
up for
I've
3
seen them.
days, oh, have you?
Oh, he's seen him. I
Oh,
believe
yes.
him. Look at him.
So
Fucking terrifying.
if your
That
character
was a
stays
real
awake for 3
reaction.
days without using a bed, phantoms spawn for everybody. It's not just you. It's
So fucking sleep.
some people don't though.
That's
Because
Freddy Krueger shit.
well, what you end up doing, right? Like, so a way that can accidentally happen is like I could sleep those 3 nights, and Chris could just log out so that there's enough people to make the day switch. Well, his character didn't sleep though, so as his character hits 3 days of being awake, even though night didn't happen for him.
Wait, your character doesn't leave the server when you log out?
It does.
Oh, okay.
But you have to actually use a bed within 3 days, essentially.
Oh.
So,
And
though
Terrifying.
the last update added a thing that'll let you know when people are in bed now. I was like, wow, that's awesome.
Yep.
So, because when you're underground, it's hard to know.
are Endermen still in it?
Oh yeah.
Do they still
Oh, yeah.
take fucking blocks?
Yep.
Kind of. They'll take a block.
They used to do it so often, it drove me nuts.
Oh no, they'll always take one, but they don't like take multiple anymore. It's
They
more
would like move them and grab another one and move another block,
Yeah.
and I'd come back to my house and there's just random blocks and holes.
they do it, but it's way less frequent.
Good, 'cause that shit was
Yeah.
stupid.
Because I will show up sometime and there's dirt in my house. I'm like, get out of here.
Yep.
Fucking pests, dude.
Well, it's funny too because they used to like bother me, and now when I see them, I'll intentionally look at them in the face because it makes them upset and charge at you, and I just hit them 3 times and kill them at this point. But the end dimension, which is where you get to access after you beat the dragon, which is where you get shulker boxes and elytras to fly. The only inhabitants are shulkers and endermen. So, and there's a shit ton of endermen. Yeah.
I still remember when they first introduced those guys, and I was playing with some friends or whatever, and like we had this little shack, and like it was starting to get dark out, and I swear, like I walked out past the fence, I looked up, and there's just an Enderman on my roof looking down at me. I was like, "Holy shit, there's one out here!" And fucking people were like, "Where?" And everybody just ran out and looked at it, and it was just up there.
Yeah.
And the moon was behind it. And
They're
it started,
creepy.
it started teleporting, attacking people and shit. It was like this fucking whole night fight.
Yeah.
I was like, this is ridiculous.
I think the worst part about them is like they make a weird noise constantly, and when you're in the end, it's just constant. I'm just like, oh my god, shut up!
Yeah,
So
that'd be annoying.
it's the same as villagers. They all go. "Huh, huh, huh." Well, we have a store with like 24 villagers in it, so you go in there and you say,
Oh my god.
House of should name it that.
yeah, game's got some sound effects which are fine in small amounts, but when you have a shit ton in one spot, it's like, oh my god, why? So,
Yeah.
and minecarts are freakishly loud. I don't get it.
They're loud.
When you're on a rail, it's so much louder than anything else. I don't get it at all.
I don't
It's
remember
so
really having
loud.
a noise before.
Well, it's just a typical
Oh
like
my God.
noise, but for some reason the volume's at like 300%.
Yeah, I don't remember that. That's interesting. So at the cost of running this episode forever, I should probably wrap up my
Yeah.
impressions. Overall, it was really cool to return to it. It was neat to see, even in the beginning, some pretty substantial. Oh, there's one thing I want to talk about. Some pretty substantial changes to finish what I was going to say. They added, and you can turn it off, so that's great, an auto jump when you walk
yeah.
towards blocks.
Fucking hate it.
That's a new thing, and I assume that was born from the mobile game. It makes complete sense to me on there, and I get it too. If I was playing like kind of, I guess, casually or something like that, or if maybe
With less control of your character.
yeah, it's kind of nice in the sense because there's no smooth geometry to the game, so like it does make walking up a hill make more sense, I guess. But what I hated is if there's a trench or something, I would have to strafe to fall into it because walking at it, I'd always step up over on the other side of the crack. So anyway, that was a new thing for me to discover, and I turned that off instantly. Not true, actually. I did try to get used to it. I was like, well, if this is the default, maybe this is the way they think you should play it. I'll try and get used to it, but I was like, nah, I feel like I lack control.
Yeah.
So I turned it off. But that was really interesting. And then I heard Chris uses that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you like it?
It has its ups and downs. I definitely can traverse land, like you said, a lot easier, and I do a lot of traveling. But if I'm trying to get in little crevices or little doorways, it's definitely a lot harder. I gotta be real particular about how I control my character.
Yeah, I could have lived with it. Like I said, I got to the point where I was kind of like, pretty quickly, I was like, oh, if I strafe, it doesn't do it. So it's like when you walk at objects. But at the same time, just maybe because the way I used to play or whatever, I was used to that. I just decided I didn't want to get used to that. But not to say, it's a shit thing. Anyone who uses it sucks or whatever, that'd be ridiculous.
Right.
But it was just so weird for me. I was like, wow, I don't want to use that. And I turned that off pretty quickly. So I'm glad it was easy to do. But I can kind of understand, like, whether you prefer it or, like, maybe, Minecraft is played by so many people that, like, to different degrees that maybe some people don't want to think about jumping. They just want to go build stuff with their kid or something like that, and you just kind of run around building shit, and you don't want to think about that kind of thing. So, just really
The
interesting.
game has a ton of accessibility options, which is a good thing.
For sure. So yeah, even in the small amount I played, there was plenty of new stuff, which is interesting, and all the stuff you guys talk about, it sounds fucking completely out of what I am used to when it comes to Minecraft. It sounds like a video game now.
Well, and there's still adventures I haven't done I'd like to do.
So it has piqued my interest to play it more. I'm going to keep it installed and join the server and check stuff out there. But overall, I enjoyed what I played. I regret that I didn't play it much this month, but I didn't play much at all this month except for ESO because it was easy to do my dailies and then fucking leave. But yeah, fun game still. I mean, it's amazing how long Minecraft's been out and it still just works. I mean, like it's an action game, it's a survival game, it's a creative game.
It's incredibly moddable, so it can be whatever game you want.
And it's moddable, and back when I used to play, there was like mods you could download that made it feel like a first-person shooter, all sorts of shit. So I'm sure there's crazy stuff now. It's really whatever the hell you want that game to be, you can make it into that. I mean, it's legendary for a reason. So yeah, I liked it. Let's jump into recommendations. I think some of the easy ones is if you like games that exist because of Minecraft, or the few games that existed before it, in the sense that you can terraform land and build and create creatively. If you like survival games, voxel-based games, block cube-based games that all were born after Minecraft, except for like 2. Definitely play this if you haven't. I'm just gonna throw it out there. You probably already played this game, so
Probably.
I'm recommend that. I should just recommend this to everybody. It's Minecraft. I think anybody can have fun with this game, even if you don't like this game. Maybe it's not for you. I still have a hard time believing that you couldn't enjoy yourself playing this game in some capacity. It really offers a lot. It's very simple but very complicated. There's a lot to do in it. Kind of what Chris said earlier, though, it is a game that you can find yourself having to find your own fun, make your own fun. Because it is a sandbox. It does sound like they've gamified it quite a bit.
I say there's speedrun communities and stuff now too.
So loosely, I would recommend to everybody. But yeah, if you are looking for a survival game, a builder game, a creative game,
Even a third-person action game, really.
third-person action game, a casual RPG, if you enjoyed, oh god, what's the 2D one? Terraria. I mean, that game was born because of Minecraft. I mean, yeah, I could go on for days, really, on recommendations. So I would exploration, co-op games, not co-op games. You could play this on servers where you can break each other's shit, which people were doing way back in the day. Now there's just games built for that. Games where you craft, have to manage resources, a lot of intricate systems when it comes to the world, the environments, the enemies. Apparently dudes, they gotta drink milk because they curse you because you hurt their flag.
Guardians make it where you mine slower.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to the game. So and it sounds like it's come a very long way. So I'd recommend it to everybody. But if you guys got anything more specific,
I was gonna say everybody asterisk, because obviously like the visual style could be off-putting for some people.
I think that's the biggest factor, is if you're not into the visual style, it's hard for you to want to play that game, because any of your creations you might look at and go, well, it's just blocks.
But I do think there is
Legos.
I do think there's something for everybody in the game, regardless if you like to build or not, because there is adventuring. They literally have structures in the game designed to just show up, take them over, and reap the rewards and leave. So, and then in a co-op sense, it works out. If you have someone who's a creative person, you have someone who's more of a gatherer, you have someone who's more of an adventurer. You all kind of fit into your own little niche there, and you can kind of create your own little community out of that too. So yeah, I mean, you pretty much just have to, I think, at least try it, and if you don't like it, you don't like it, that's fine. But I do think there's a lot to offer there. So
yeah. Anything you want to add, Chris?
I don't think there's any much I could add to it.
Yeah. it's kind of hard. Like I was like, there's a lot of specific people who will like this game, but I really feel like most people could play this. I mean, even if you force them, I don't think they're gonna be bored playing it if they're playing with the right people, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people who I've seen
Yeah.
like look at it and go, I don't get it.
Sure, that's always been the case, though.
Yeah.
But now there's more games like it out there, and it's still one of the better ones. So, and they've been competitive at adding content to it. It has a shitload of content to it. So
For
and that's
over a
one of the
decade.
it's one of the hardest things to do with games like this is to
Yeah.
keep adding stuff. Conan Exiles, they keep adding shit to.
Yeah,
Although that game is a little, you can fucking go crazy with that game too. But that game's also kind of built like a RPG as well. So
Yeah,
which is
for
kind of
sure.
cool. Definitely one of my preferable. Have we ever reviewed that? I feel like
I know we definitely played it.
we played it for the channel.
Oh, it was on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we should do like a PC one of that. Because I would definitely review that. Yeah. Anything else? Kind of lost myself on what the fuck I was talking about. Let's grade it. Let's go with Chris.
I'm going to give this game an A-. I can spend hours in this game and not realize that I'm spending that much time in it. And I've done it multiple times where I'm sitting there playing. I'm like, oh, it's 10 o'clock. And I turn around, it's 5 a.m. And I've done nothing but run around and killing things.
Yeah, I get that.
And the creative freedom that I have in this game just to build whatever I want, as long as I get the resources for it, is just, it's an endless source of pleasure for me and frustration. So there's no real story to it, and you do have to come up with your own, ideas of what you're going to do in the game. There's kind of a base, like you can kind of go do this to get the achievements, but there's no story. So it can't be an A for me because it doesn't emotionally evoke anything out of me. So A-. It's a great game.
Yeah, I was also going to give it an A-. So I'm giving it an A-. I agree with you 100%. I think it is still one of the best block-based survival building games out there. It obviously influenced everything when it comes to the genre by a lot. I would say it and DayZ kind of influenced a lot of games out there.
Yeah, for sure.
The mod DayZ. And it's still fun, relevant. Like I said, it's been competitive at keeping content in the game. It offers stuff you're not really doing in other games like it still, which is kind of crazy that nobody's made something comparable to it.
And it still punishes you for getting too comfortable too, regardless of how good you are.
And yeah, I mean, Minecraft's fucking classic. It's always fun to play. It's like I said, it's literally one of the biggest fucking well-known games out there in the world, which is kind of crazy to think. And I like it a lot. I as a game in the genre, I respect it a lot too. So as much as people kind of shit on it, jokingly, I think for the most part, some people legit hate it. I think it's because it's popular. Hey, popular games get shit on all the time. Me and you will defend Fortnite in some ways. Not
Even
that we
though
play
I
it.
don't like it.
We don't play it. We don't like it. But we'll defend it. It's in some ways. I defend Call of Duty, although it's getting harder to do. Especially this most recent one. I'm looking forward to Battlefield. Yeah, great game though. A-, easy A-. I couldn't even think about giving it a B anything. So
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be 3 of them. I think the only thing that stops it from going any higher is that in all the years that they've updated it, it feels like they should have added something other than achievements to perhaps introduce people to features in the game. So there is some stuff there.
it used to just be like a book thing that would just check off certain things. And now it actually will let you know you achieved things, which I noticed, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, it's neat, and
it
especially
adds some structure.
It does. It just doesn't necessarily point at anything though, and not that I want it to play for me. The game is meant to be a sandbox, but I do think they should work on a little bit more of, I guess we'd call it the new player experience, right? But outside of that, it's a great game, and for something to still be fun 10 plus years later is a feat. So
Yeah.
The new player experience is getting mugged by fucking 12 dudes of different sizes.
First day is the worst if you haven't played in a long time. Because
It's funny because I remember back in the day, there's all these videos of people going like, how to survive your first night in Minecraft. I'm like, dude, fucking I know I do that shit, whatever. And then I come back years later and like I'm like, hey, it's Minecraft. I know how to survive my first night. And then those guys show up. I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? And they murdered me. I was like, oh, okay. So it was funny. It was very reminiscent of when I first played it.
yeah, you want easy mode? Break a tree, make some crappy wooden tools, get some rocks, make some less crappy tools, find a village, start your adventure there.
Literally what I did.
Yeah.
I made some tools. I started working on a tool bench. Started making stuff. I got to attack those guys. And after that, I was like, I'm going to go find safety.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's our grades. 3 A minuses. Not really too surprised on that. Let us know in the comments, what do you think of Minecraft? When did you last play it? Are you playing it currently? What would you grade it? Is it a forever game for you? Is it a game you can come back to and play, or are you done with it? Let me know what you're thinking about in the comments below when it comes to Minecraft and everything else we talked about. That's going to do it for this episode of Game of the Month for June. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check out our Discord link down below. Patreon link down below if you want to support the channel for the liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing for brand new. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us. And we have a Patreon. I think I said Patreon already. Did I? Mm-hmm. You can check that out if you want. There's something I'm missing. Oh, well. My name's Seth. And thank you, Chevy and Chris, for joining me as always. Until the next episode, which will be Tasty Cast. Have a good week, guys, and take it easy.